If you're a real estate agent and you're tired of cold calling, door knocking, and spending money on ads, then subscribe to this podcast. We discuss leveraging the power of YouTube for your real estate business and how these strategies earned us over $1 million in GCI our first year in real estate. My name is Levi Lascsak and my partner is Travis Plumb. Let's get started.
This is Passive Prospecting YouTube for Real Estate, and we are discussing starting a brand new channel today, or if I were to start over, what would be that channel, or what would it look like, I guess you could say, if I were to start over today. Well, you know, that's hard to say, first and foremost, because I don't know. I know what I know now, so it's hard to say if I were to start over, do I get to have my knowledge of today, I suppose? Is that how you position that, Chrissy? Because I'm not really sure, or am I just...
Along the way, we just have learned so many lessons along the way, but if we were starting over today, there's certainly some learning curve that would have been taken out of it, you know? So, for me, looking back at kind of what we've done, you know, especially in the last year, I feel like our thumbnails have really improved too. You know, it's I feel like we would have started from a different angle when it came to the thumbnails and realizing how important those were, how important some of our titles were. We were doing a lot of the keyword research, but there's a little bit of an art and a little bit of a science when it comes to formulating both of those things. So I think just making them, you know, a little bit more exciting and fun at the very beginning would have been something that I would have been doing differently, as well as putting in some of those key phrases as well. It's definitely something we do better today than we did before. So that's just one thing that comes to the top of mind.
Yeah, probably a couple of the things that I tested out that I wouldn't do now. The funny thing is I think I've talked about this before, is that I saw this stat that when Netflix releases a new series, it was a ridiculously high number. I think 80 or 84% of people will binge watch that series over a 48-hour period almost, which was just kind of staggering. And you think about it, you watch something on Netflix, the whole season comes out, and then you may end up waiting 6 months or a year for the next one to come out. And so that made me think, what if we released 3 videos in one day, you know, on a neighborhood, instead of going through the pros and cons map video, you know, top neighborhoods or whatever the case may be, and, you know, something else related to that suburb. What if we just released all 3 at one time, and then people could binge watch our YouTube videos? And what I learned really quickly was that that's not the case. So it was... and somebody mentioned that, because I did ask a few people, you know, should I give that a try or not? It was really mixed feedback. Some of the people said, yeah, I wouldn't do that. Some of them said, yeah, that sounds interesting. You should give that a try. And I just thought I would test it out. And definitely one video kind of averaged as usual as our regular videos. The other 2 just tanked out, just bombed out completely. And it was almost like too much information overload maybe for the one channel at one time, or maybe we confused YouTube a little bit. Now, those other 2 videos eventually caught up over the course of the next 30, 60 days, because of course we optimized around search and keywords and things like that, so they would get picked up down the road. So overall, in the long term, which that is something that I heard this one guy, Roberto Blake, say once. We used to always be very adamant about when we published, and that's something else that you could think about. Really want to kind of just publish to find your groove. I think if you are consistent on your days, that does help establish your audience in the beginning as well. And then, Roberto Blake would say that if you are creating an evergreen video, it really doesn't matter when you publish. However, on the other side of that, you know, clearly there are peak times on your channel when people are on YouTube. Maybe the type of content you're promoting is more ideal for those types of people. When would they view it? And of course, we look at our analytics in our channel and our audience data, and we have a heavy concentration in the evenings and on the weekends. So if we're going to publish a video, clearly we want to publish within that dark purple on the audience tab of or actually an hour before. That's something that Think Media would say, is that they publish an hour before the dark purple on their audience retention or their audience on YouTube. Viewers on YouTube, you could say, is whenever they're there. So, and that's the interesting thing, right? Viewers on YouTube versus your audience. And what was it? Something I determined, your subscriber base may actually be, you could say 20% of your actual viewers. So when you think about that, your subscriber base is not always getting all the notifications. I mean, the data tells you that. If you look at how many people watch our channel that are not subscribed, I mean, it's 86% of our audience is not subscribed to our channel, which tells me, that's, our subscriber base is really about 20% of what it could be, which is really interesting. And of course, we've had discussions with clients that have closed on homes and found out that they never even subscribed to the channel. So you never know. It's definitely not a true indication of business, and people may not ever subscribe to the channel and could still possibly buy homes from you and could still make that happen. But, testing things out, I don't know. Yes, could you do everything differently? Sure, I would make killer thumbnails from the beginning, the best titles ever, the best content ever, the best flow. I mean, yeah, if I could start over today knowing what I know now, I would do everything. I mean, I would say almost the way we're doing it now. But, that's the other aspect of it, is that you have to build up to a lot of these things. You have to work through a lot of this process. I mean, we like to call it you don't get to skip this step, sort of, so to speak, which means that you've got to just work through some of that. And despite even going, through our program, like we've had, a lot of people go through our program, and they'll come out and still make thumbnails that are not really the way we recommend them in the program. They'll create titles not the way and so even whenever you have the direct access to the information, or the shortcut, you could say, because that's all our program really is a shortcut. It's a massive, massive shortcut. Then people still may not follow those directions, thoroughly. So I look at it and I say, okay, do we have the best thumbnails right now? No. Do we understand a good structure of a thumbnail and what's going to get us the highest click-through rate and everything else? I think we got a pretty good idea. We've been hitting 10.5, 10.5, 9.5 click-through rates on the last several of the thumbnails. And, what it comes down to is that if I'm not involved heavily in there, you're just going to get, or if you're not involved heavily in there, or providing the vision or the direction of your business, there's always going to be a little bit of a disconnect. So, it's something to where a lot of times the team may develop a thumbnail, send it back to me first, and then I'll be like, no, we should do this, and I'll change it completely. Or I might just tell them the idea up front, and it just kind of depends. Sometimes I don't have it in my mind until they create something, and I'm like, nope, let's change it this way. And I would say this last video we put out with the paychecks on it, I have to look for the first rendition of that, which was not really anything. Let me see. I can see what it first looked like. Oh, yeah. Well, it was pretty much the same thumbnail. It just had the numbers on it, though, like 50,000 and 250,000, which we made a video around suburbs you can afford to live in based on your salary. But I just felt like once I saw that, I was like, you know what? We should add checks behind the numbers or pay stubs or whatever. What's the best way you can paint that picture? And so when you think about these types of things, that's what you're doing on a thumbnail, is you're painting that picture. And the best thumbnails would not have any words on them. If you can paint the picture without any words, then that's a pretty powerful thumbnail. But at the same time, we look at not going over a 3-word max. That's usually our rule of thumb, is if we do have words on there, we don't want to add more than 3 words. So we still want to kind of paint that picture along with adding the, if we add some words on there. So when we look at these things, could I create better thumbnails right now? Yeah, sure could. It's something that, at the same time, I don't know. Do we have to be that obsessed about it? It's funny because I hear interviews by some of the top YouTubers, or, Mr. Beast is a pretty popular one, of course, being the top YouTuber on the platform. And, they will talk about going through 30 or 40 different thumbnails. But I imagine that they've just got a team cranking that stuff out, all these different variations. I'm sure he's provided some sort of vision, and we're just not there. We're not we're not spending $4 million on a video like he has.
Allow me to take a quick break to remind you that we have very important links in the description below. If you want the full story of how we closed over $1 million in commissions our first year and over $2.3 million in commissions our second year, check out the first link. Also, you have the link to our #1 Amazon best-selling book, Passive Prospecting. Last, if you enjoy this podcast and you're a giving person, leave a 5-star review, please. Now back to the episode.
So again, and of course our graphic designer is working on so many other things with us as well. We have to be mindful about what she's working on, and then we turn around and we're like, hey, crank out this thumbnail for us real quick. And then we always send it back for revisions and things like that. But sometimes the team will kick something back, and that's what will spark my idea. So I would say it's a pretty good balance, 50-50. Sometimes I'll come to them knowing exactly what I want on the thumbnail, and I'll describe that, and they'll kick it back with the design. Or here, I didn't even ask for this one. And the thumbnail is 2 different sides of homes. Clearly one that looks like a starter home, one that looks like a mansion, and one side $50,000, the other side $250,000. But what does that mean exactly? Well, when we add the checks behind it, that gives a little bit of a different meaning now. Okay, checks. So that could also pique curiosity, get people to wonder, okay, what's this? What's a $250,000 check? That's a little bit different. Plus, it's hanging over a larger size home. So, those types of things, and that's where we kind of play around with these types of things as well. And the other thing is that we've gotten, our editor has really gotten pretty hot and heavy on the editing side, so which has taken him longer per video. So now we run up to where, it could take him sometimes a week, and I say a week, but 5 to 6 days to edit a video, because we're making longer videos and we're asking for a lot more cuts and B-roll in there. And so, we find ourselves up against the clock, even though I have 3 to 5 videos filmed ahead at all time. But our editor, graphics, things like that, they're kind of always playing catch up. But I would rather take a little extra time and get the editing down and have a good quality video come out than I'm worried about publishing. So, right now we've got a pretty heavy concentration on Tuesdays, Tuesdays, but Sundays, Thursdays. So we've been publishing some Sunday mornings, but at the same time, we had a video, wasn't quite ready, but we published at Sunday evening around 5 p.m. And now this one, it's taking, and actually it was this paycheck or the salary style video, and it's taken off for us. It actually grew quite a bit, just Sunday evening. And plus I was also thinking about, no football, right? No football. Well, I guess maybe the Pro Bowl, but nobody cares about the Pro Bowl, I think. So I'm thinking about no football, not really competing with anything there. Let's see how it does publishing at 5 p.m. on a Sunday. And sure enough, I think by 9 p.m. it had 2,000 views or so, which is good. We'll take it. It started ranking number 2 out of the last 10. And actually right now it's still ranking number 2 out of the last 10 within the first 1 day and 23 hours. So it's up to 8,200 views. But other than that, what would I do starting over, knowing what I know now? I think the direction we're heading, the way we're moving towards, we're just always trying to improve. So basically where I'm at right now is probably where I would start. Now, if you gave me 0 subscribers, would I grow to 30,000 much faster? Possibly, could be. I'm not sure. But, I think looking at our latest video is always a good indication of what we're thinking, the direction we're moving. And are we getting better or not so much? So this one was a little bit different style, as far as it was a little bit more B-roll heavy. But and that's some things that's really what it was. This was a real kind of factual data-driven video. So I wanted to read some things, specific numbers. Wanted to make sure that was all correct. So therefore, it just anytime I read something, we're going to overlay B-roll, right? It's going to become almost like a voiceover style type video. And so we just wanted to look and see what how that would do, how that would work. Come out the very beginning, just hitting them with exactly what the video is about, and then we just jump into it. I actually had them cut off an intro they had on there with some B-roll, and then even in between we cut out a few sentences just to trim it up just a little bit. So other than that, I think a lot of the community tours we're doing recently, where we're kind of incorporating some pros and cons on top of it, again, that makes it a longer video, but then I don't have to create 2 different videos to do that. So, I think just as we progress and grow, we're always innovating that. And I think, if I were to start over, I'd be starting where we're at today, which is some better quality content, longer content, better thumbnails. All of that. But that's the problem. When you're starting out, you're going to have to work through a lot of that stuff. Now, of course, if you if you work with our team, you kind of shortcut a lot of that stuff as well, especially on the editing side, because they're always growing. They're always learning new things and different tricks, and now AI is involved, and it's it's just a different environment. So I think about what we've done, and it's funny. I was on a call earlier today, and somebody was talking about going viral, or going viral or getting a lot of views, and they were kind of struggling with that because they wanted to earn some money from the platform. And I was just like, actually made me curious. Let me look. And I went and looked at my AdSense for the last 3 years total on YouTube. My AdSense total for the last 3 years is, let me pull it back up and I'll just give you the exact number, which was total. This is what I made total AdSense for the last 3 years from YouTube, $19,263. Pretty good. Okay, I'll take that. Let's see, what is that? 19,000. Let's divide that by 36 months. Okay, so 527. So I average $527 a month from YouTube. Yay! All right, pays a couple of bills, but we've made $5.5 million in commissions. So do you think I really care about AdSense? Nope. Think I care about going viral to bring that up? Nope. Now, if it happened, would it be nice? Sure. I'm not going to turn down free money, but it is nowhere near a focus of mine to try to generate AdSense at all. It's just a nice little bonus, an extra $527 paycheck each month from YouTube, which is really nice because I've never gotten a paycheck from Facebook as far as I know. I actually spend way more money on Facebook and Instagram, and they've never given me anything back. So it's just interesting to see that. And now we, let me see. again, this other video we have, let me see, it's now done 55,000 views in the first month, which is pretty good as well. But again, has anybody called us and said, love that video? That's exactly why we're calling you up. They haven't referenced it directly, but does it bring a lot of good traction to the channel? Sure does. So, other than that, I think what we've worked on the strategy was always, slow and steady wins the race, which is why, we have a turtle for our mascot, is that just that, YouTube's a marathon, not a sprint. Slow and steady wins the race. The Navy SEALs have a quote, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. So you just got to get in groove. In your groove, you got to stay consistent, and you just can't quit. And that's a very, very, very simple formula for success, which is that really just get in the groove, stay consistent, don't quit, and that's what's going to, because we know, we see YouTube work over and over and over and again in all different types of markets, all different situations. A lot of the same situations, same markets. It just happens over and over. We're seeing it firsthand. And so we know that the process can be duplicated, it can work out, and it's just a matter of staying consistent. But that brings me to my man Don. What's up, Don? How you doing? Hope all is well. So I'm sure he's asking for a friend, if you haven't posted in 6 months or longer, can we just pick up and start from where we left off? Or should we start a new channel? Chrissy, what do you think about that one?
I would say that it really kind of depends on what your interaction and engagement is. If you're still having engagement 6 months in, I think it's possible to revive it. But something that's been completely dead, not nurtured, there's not anything happening on the channel for 6 months, a lot of times it's just easier to start over. It really does depend, though, on the interaction. Because, again, sometimes your engagement, I've seen this on channels before where they're completely dead. Actually, my husband's channel he hasn't uploaded in forever, but he gets comments weekly. And so his stuff is still ranking just because we're in a very, very small area. And so, there are times where you can still revive it, and the channel engagement is what keeps it going. But if it's really dead, there's nothing happening. You're not getting calls from it. You're not seeing any comments or anything like that. The views aren't really taking off. You're only getting a couple of views a day. Probably better just to start over. It kind of depends on the engagement, though.
Yep. What is a map video? That question came up. Let's see. What is a map video? Well, it's just simply sharing your screen and of a map of your city, and then walking people through the map. Just letting them see it. Really, that's what it's about. Let me see. So yeah, I do it on Zoom. You can simply get on Zoom, do a screen share, have a map pull up of the city. And the thing is that anybody can go online and look at a map of your city. But what they can't really get is your opinions, your feedback, your input, your stories, those types of things. And so you're going to highlight certain things around the map, which they could clearly do that. But again, you're walking them through that. So you're just kind of taking them through, walking them through that, and so forth. Boring. It's really boring. It's boring to us. Boring to us, but at the same time, really interesting to somebody who, is moving, because they want to know this type of stuff, and to have somebody to help them out, and to walk them around through a map, to just kind of talk through some things. They really do like that. It surprised me how many people like map videos, and they're some of our most popular videos. And I just redid a couple, like doing the top 7 suburbs, the top 6 underrated suburbs, and that was a majority of a map style video, and those videos are taking off. They're doing really well. So, and they're gaining traction. They're longer videos. I didn't intend that, but they turned out that way. Let's see. One is 49 minutes. The other one is 43 minutes. But let's see. This one that's 49 minutes. It's 21,000 views and growing more and more. I mean, YouTube likes that. YouTube likes a nice long video like that that's getting long view durations, and so they keep pushing that out because they're like, oh, here's a 49-minute video. People are sticking on that video, watching it, staying on the platform, and so it's just keeps gaining more and more traction. Our analytics on it just kind of, I mean, it's like slow and steady, and then it just really starts ramping up over time. Has really picked up after 60 days, has really gained the most traction after 60 days. So that's pretty good, that's pretty cool. Let me see. I've been doing a couple of videos on multifamily as I venture into the multifamily space, and that is, those videos are 50 minutes long, longer videos, but they're attracting investors, which is exactly what the intent of those videos were made for, is to attract investors. So is that something I wish I would have done sooner? Maybe so, yeah. So if I were starting a YouTube channel today, starting over, I mean, investing money into apartments 3 years ago instead of this last year, I wish I would have got a 2-year head start on that, but it is what it is. And worked on really investing everything back into the company and marketing and ways to improve our skills, which I'm still doing that. I actually just bought a $10,000 ticket, at this at an upcoming conference. I bought the highest ticket, $10,000, because I'm still willing to spend money to invest in myself. It includes dinner with Tim Grover and let me see, a couple of other pretty big names, Neil Patel, and there's another guy on there, a big time marketer. So big I forgot his name. It slipped my, but that's the thing is if I'm going to go to these events, I'm going to upgrade, invest, and that's what's really helped us grow as well in our other businesses, is just getting in front of the right people, developing these relationships. But here, this YouTube channel I just shot with ABC, the ABC morning show. We filmed last week, and she just told me that our first segment is going to come out this Thursday, so in 2 days, and they're going to release 4 segments, or one a week over the month of February. So I filmed with the ABC morning show that's on from 5 to 7, and she told me that they get 1 million viewers every morning, and that just blew me away. 1 million viewers. So you talk about hyper local attention, hyper local viewership. I'm curious to see what's going to happen on Thursday, if we'll gain some new subscribers. But because of the channel, these types of opportunities pop up. And and she told me exactly what happened. Her story, her boss wanted her to do a story on population growth and communities and things like that. And so what did she do? She went to YouTube to research, and started researching Prosper and Frisco and these North Dallas suburbs, and all of our videos kept popping up. So she was like, well, this guy looks like the expert. And then she found me on Instagram and DM'd me there. And we finally made it happen, filmed with her last week, and knocked it all out. So I can't wait to see that. But it'll be interesting to have 4 segments air on the ABC morning show. It's kind of like Dallas's Good Morning America. They actually cut in and out to Good Morning America as well. So it's like if you watch Good Morning America and then it cuts back to your local market, and like she said, she's like, nobody watches 6 p.m. or 10 p.m. news anymore. They just don't. They're doing everything else, and at that time, if they're not doing something, they're on their phones. But she said the morning news, people still watch that because they wake up, they turn it on, they're getting ready, to go to work or school or something like that, which I never really thought about that, because I don't turn on. I feel like it's a sin. I feel like it's a sin to turn on my TV unless it's 7 or 8 o'clock at night, and I'm just burnt out, and I just don't want to think about anything else anymore. And that's where I might watch something real quick, for about an hour, and then I'm like, oh, now it's time to go to bed. So I'm really torn on that, by the way. it's like by the time you finish up, eat dinner, and then, do what you got to do. It's just feel like I'm turning around and going to bed again. But anyways, yeah, she's like, people still watch the morning show, the morning news, and gets 1 million viewers every morning. And it covers like all of North Dallas, the North Texas area. And I was just like, wow, and she was so nice, so happy. And she wanted to talk about the channel. So they're going to promote the channel, as far as I know, unless a producer or something cuts that out. But she seemed like it was no problem at all whatsoever. And you just never know what can happen with these types of opportunities, of having a channel. I mean, it got us on HGTV. That's how that happened, was because of our YouTube channel. Got us in the Dallas Morning News, got us in D Magazine, which are two of the biggest publications in Dallas as well. So we got featured in those, Dallas Morning News and D Magazine on different occasions. I mean, it's just crazy to see what it can all happen, and all this within the first 3 years of the business. It definitely sustained us last year in this market. A market of 7.5% to 8% interest rates the entire year. So, my advice to anybody right now is if you're starting right now, which we're recording this in beginning of February. I'm not sure when it will be released on the podcast. So if you're listening to this on the podcast, this is the beginning of the February. And if you're starting a channel now, you better get started, because guess what's going to happen in the spring and summer? I mean, probably a little pandemonium. I mean, look what happened in January. I don't know if you guys felt that, but man, our phone was ringing off the hook, and it looks like they just popped interest rates back up to 7%, maybe to try to cool that down. And you think we come into election cycle this year, election year, presidential election, man, you think they're going to drop rates to I don't know. I mean, it's just bizarre. I told somebody the other day, I was like, I tell you what, actually it was Ryan Pineda. I was having a discussion with him. We were going back and forth talking about some stuff, and I just said yes, and I'm just trying to crush everything as much as possible until November, because who knows what's going to happen in November, and leave it to our great government to screw things up. Either side doesn't seem to really matter. So I'm just like, look, I'm going to try to accomplish as much as possible until November, because who knows what's going to happen. It doesn't matter. Whichever side wins, there's going to be some sort of chaos, I believe. And who knows how long that could happen, what it's going to do to the economy. I'm not sure, but I do think this spring and summer are going to pick up quite a bit. We're going to see a lot of real estate transactions. And if you create your channel now, this gives you a good, 3 months to do that. And your channel could really start to gain traction at that time. If you started your channel 2 or 3 months ago and you haven't seen traction, that's okay. You need to keep publishing, and you need to work through that. And you need to get to the spring and summer market, because that's probably where you're going to see things really pop off. So my man Don, if you got to get back in the saddle, I'd say get back in the saddle. Start creating that, because the most visible agent is going to win. It's not the best real estate agent. It will be the most visible agent. The most visible agent, which I'm one of the most visible agents right now. I'm beating a lot of the best real estate agents because I'm visible. It's not because I know contracts better. I've been in the business for 20 years. It's none of that. It's because, people vote with their eyes. And then, of course, as long as you're providing value, then they're going to reach out to you regardless. Like I said, nobody has ever asked me, how long have I been in the business? How many homes have I sold? Am I a top producer? What brokerage am I with? They have never, ever asked those questions. They just love the videos. They love the content. So, that's the opportunity. And I would you just got to get going. I mean, it's all a learning process. You can take our program and follow it step by step, and you're probably still not going to execute it perfectly right out of the gate. But, I don't know. Cesar and Tanya, I see them in here. I think they had 2 videos out. By the second video, they got a call. I think they already got that person under contract. So, things can happen super fast. And we've got some people that have, had their channel for 6 months and are just now getting their first phone call, whatever the case may be. It's just different timing, different markets, so many different factors in there. But what we do know is that we know the process works, and we know the consistency will pay off at one point or another. It's going to be sooner for some, it's going to be later for the others. But if you do quit, it will never pay off, and you'll never get a phone call. That's for sure. So that's really the key factor. Is that I don't know. I studied. I've told the story 1,000 times probably. That I studied the platform for 60 days before I started filming content. I think that gave me a pretty good game plan. So I just based it off of what I knew at that time. If I were to do it right now again, I would probably implement within the same business plan. 3 videos a week, consistent every single week. And really that was the business plan. You can have all the intention in the world to create the greatest video from the start, but that's probably not going to happen still. It's just not. You could watch 1,000 YouTube videos and read, all the YouTube books and go through our program. It doesn't matter. But then you're going to come out and probably still make, a mostly crappy first video. But that's okay. That's like part of the process. Your next one will get a little bit better. Sean Cannell says it all the time. Like, just get better, or 1% better with every video. And that's what you're looking for. I think you can improve more than that, but even if you improve 1%, you're still growing. And of course, Tony Robbins likes to say, if you're not growing, you're dying. We are all programmed. A lot of our happiness is programmed around progress. At least that's what I get from Tony Robbins quite a bit. That's what he says. Progress. And if you stop, well, I don't know. The thing is now you may not see progress from results the way you want that, but it's like, what are the expectations? Have you ever made a channel before? Probably not. So you don't really have anything to compare it. Can you compare it to my channel? Not really. Can you compare it to Don's channel? Not really. Can you compare it to Tanya's channel? No, not really. And, this is something we see in our Facebook group all the time, is every success story that gets published in there, there's like, they get hammered with comments. How many videos are you doing per week? How long was it for your, so it's like, which is okay. I get it. I think people are trying to add context to that, but, they just stayed consistent until things started to turn over. And it's just going to be different from everybody. I just recommend you hit it hard and fast from the beginning. That's why I recommend and still recommend 3 videos a week to start out, because it's going to get you in the motion. It's going to get you creating consistently. It's going to get repetition under your belt. And so you just speed things up. If you're doing 3 videos a week, you're just going to speed up your learning curve. You're going to speed up your content. You're going to have more videos on your channel sooner rather than later. And it's simple. I got a really good friend who modeled this and of what we're doing, but was adamant on doing 1 video a week. Well, guess what? It took like 7 or 8 months to get the first deal under contract. What did he do the next year? Started to do 2 videos a week. And what happened? Doubled the business. Now he wants to do more, and was like, well, I said, well, that's real easy. You want to do more? Do 3 videos a week. Or you make 2 longer videos, or better quality, whatever the case may be. But if you're just doing 1 or 2 videos a week, you'll learn a lot faster doing 3. Is that more work? Sure. Yeah, it is. But how fast do you want to grow? Do you want to grow faster or not? But, other than that, there's, if I were to start over, I would start over, doing what we're doing now, because I think what we're doing now is the best that we think we're doing right now, I guess you could say. So we're always trying to improve, grow, and stay consistent, most importantly. I mean, I would say the consistency has been a big challenge for me, especially over the last 2 years with the amount of press, you could say, the amount of opportunities that we've had. I mean, to be traveling, it's a lot. But consistency was my biggest goal. My biggest commitment to myself was to stay consistent no matter what. I knew the second I would let excuses come in and I compromised on publishing and let a week go, that's a slippery slope to get down. It's a slippery slope. And so I just would not compromise with myself no matter what, no matter how many trips or conferences or speaking events or vacation, whatever the case may be. I had to have videos out every single week, and I have for the last 3 years. So that consistency, that frequency has really helped us a lot. But that's all I got on that. Chrissy, anything else you want to add?
I mean, just like little things. I mean, like we also started, multiple channels trying to target different groups and found that didn't work, as well as just combining it, like our luxury channel and our Fort Worth channel. So we'd probably not do that. So if you're on the fence about starting a channel for multiple areas that are somewhat close together, I'd probably say don't do that. I think we obsessed over shorts for a while, and I think we've come to realize that it's kind of just a supplementary method that we go by and not so much live and die hard on it. So, I mean, just like little things, but it's like what Levi said, it really comes down to experimentation. And there's a lot of like the fundamentals that if you follow them, you'll find your path and you'll find the right way for your own personal channel. But that's the beautiful thing about YouTube is that your results are going to be so individualized. Your success is going to be so individualized. Your targeting is going to be individualized. So you just have to get in there and do the work. And the stats will tell you what needs to be done, the tweaks that you need to make. But just starting with a good foundation and staying consistent are really the keys to success on YouTube.
All right. I love it. Well, I think we'll close up shop with that. That was very well said. So hopefully that helped shed a little insight. And the main thing is that if you haven't started, you got to get started. And if you have started, stay consistent, and you just learn and you grow from there. And yep, we'll have another topic ready to go next week, and we'll see you back here at that time. Have a great day.
See you guys.
Thank you for joining us on today's podcast. If you're interested in partnering with us to access our YouTube course and coaching at no cost, schedule a call at passiveprospectingpartner.com.